Hey everybody, this is Bo back in the lounge. We want to do a shout out to our fans listening to us, equaling 1.5 million listeners worldwide. Thank you so much. We're going to go all the way out to the Big Red Machine, Cornell University, talk to their legendary head coach, and I do mean that. Coach Koll, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Legendary. Holy cow. I tell you what, that's some kind of title. I'm not sure if I get that yet.
Well, you know, Coach, first off, you're right, because you're not bald like every other wrestling coach. You still have your hair.
And I've got boys.
Yes, and the second thing is that you're still young enough where the right now you look like you're about to eclipse some of the records at Cornell for wrestling.
Well, I'm not sure. There's Walter O'Connell coached here for 41 years, so I've got a ways to go. But other than that, there's only been 5 head coaches at Cornell University. So yeah, there aren't a lot of them, but I think I'm number 2 on pretty much everything. But you know what? You coach here long enough, you're going to get some of the records, right?
No, yeah, you hope so, but you know, sometimes when you coach long enough, sometimes you're there too long, and when you're there at the right time and you've got the groove where you're pumping out coaches, stars, NCAA winners, you're doing something right in your program, Coach.
Well, thank you. Go on. we got a lot of support. I'd love to take claim and credit for everything that goes on here, but it sure as heck is not just me. I've got an administrator who is a former wrestling coach. I've got an associate athletic director who actually wrestled for my father at Penn State University. We've got a former All-American who runs a sports school and the ticket office. So I pretty much have the stars and the planets and the moons in alignment right here.
Yeah, you know, last season, Coach, we're going to change topics real quick. Last season, we got a hold of you on your trip to Walt Disney World, which I was like, oh, that's kind of nice. But, you know, it seems like you do have your coaches meeting down at Fort Lauderdale. Is that the motivation for Walt Disney World?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We actually didn't make it this year, but and I'm not sure if we do really, really well this year, maybe we might go back. But I'm Disneyed out, completely Disneyed out. My kids will never be Disneyed out, but I'm done with that place. They've taken me to the bank once too often, so I'm not a huge fan anymore.
Yeah, that's a real. Last time I was there, we saved up many little penny banks to make sure it was a windfall for the kids. We did the breakfast thing, the dinner thing, the dancing thing, and they still talk about it. But they're in diapers, and they're now like 17 years old.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, this year we went fishing and caught some big fish, and I thought I was making out until they decided that they needed to have them taxidermied, and then I realized it wasn't such a great deal.
Yeah, you got that little 12-inch to taxidermy, which cost more than the whole trip.
Yeah, 4 times more than the whole trip. Thank you. They both caught the same darn fish, and they both wanted them stuffed.
That's funny. Coach, you know, wrestling, a lot of people who follow wrestling know about this. The ones that are getting interested because of the explosion of MMA or just the Olympics, because there was a big growth last year with the Olympics. A lot of people were clicking on to find out about wrestling programs. But the interesting thing, I think, that a lot of people don't know about is the fact that you all travel in the worst possible weather out of any program. I've been in basketball. They don't travel in nearly the bad weather, and then they reward you by sending down to Fort Lauderdale during hurricane season.
Yeah, last year, let's see, our exotic protocols was, we went to Des Moines, Iowa, and Buffalo. Yeah, those are some pretty hot spots. But the trip to Fort Lauderdale for the coaches convention, unfortunately, you know, they didn't pay for that, so that was on our own bill. So no, they didn't reward us at all for that. But it is brutal. The competition's brutal, and the weather is even worse. So we try to get away. And we, instead of going to the Midlands, which is in Chicago in January, we actually head down to North Carolina. The competition might not be as nice, but the weather is certainly better. And I tell you what, psychologically, it's uplifting to actually see the sun periodically throughout the year.
Absolutely, Coach. Now, there's a lot of coaches out there that have brand new programs being created. The growth of wrestling is really being seen at the high school level, the NAIA level, the D2 and D3 level, and even into varsity sports. You know, Doug Jesse was a practitioner, an athlete under your tenure, has done very well. He's got a brand new program at Tiffin. Everything you touch seems like it's going the right way for your program.
Yeah, and Doug was, and it was nice because Doug was not a standout wrestler, so hopefully he took some real positive lessons from our program. You don't have to be a great wrestler to be a great coach. We've had a number of guys. We've done really well. We have Steve Garland at Virginia, and Tom Shiflett at Hofstra, and Eric Del Porto at Eastern Michigan, and Brian Smith at Missouri, who all cut their teeth here as a coaching at Cornell, and certainly Doug as a wrestler. And now we have a number of assistants coming out into the wrestling world. Steve Ansarovich now at North Carolina State, and Jordan Lean is trying to get into the game. Although he was pre-med. There's easier ways to be a wrestling coach than to go pre-med at Cornell. But I think if they take the lessons learned here at Cornell, how we do our development as far as just alumni development and keeping them involved in the program so they give back, and that's such a necessary part of the job these days, and the fundraising, because of there's the economy and wrestling, although at certain levels is expanding. NAIA and Division II, Division III, Division I, it's not. It's going the opposite way because of football and basketball numbers and the money that's being put in those sports. There's not a lot left to go around. So those other sports at universities which are enrollment driven, wrestling is a great sport to add because it's been cut so many places. You add a program, you're going to get 40 people coming to school.
Absolutely.
Great way to increase enrollment.
And the program that you've put together there is among the best in the country. Everybody talks about Cornell, that you have, I don't want to say single-handedly because you're right, there's a lot of other people that have supported you, but your focus has been accepted and driven into the athletes. Wrestling, first off, it's very difficult to get a scholarship, let alone an academic scholarship, but what you've done there is incredible for the program and for the East Coast, because when you talk wrestling, we always talk Iowa, but Cornell is definitely on the map, and people talk about it. And, how do you keep doing it every year and get energized? Because wrestling is the longest sport in any sport, in any college.
Yeah, well, it's tough to get an athletic scholarship here because we don't offer athletic scholarships. So you're right. We go after kids who can afford it or can't afford it because we do have good financial aid for those who qualify. But every year it's a different sport. I'm dealing with different types of kids. I'm the oldest person in this office, well, other than myself, is Damian Hahn. I think he's 29, maybe 30, and then every year the seniors graduate, so I don't ever deal with anybody over 22. So it's not hard to stay energized when you're hanging around with young, energetic people. I know that I read a quote once from Lou Holtz. He said, "How do you keep your kids motivated?" And he says, I recruit motivated kids," and that's something that really stuck with me. You recruit motivated kids. They work hard. They keep you energized. And if you recruit kids who bring in kids who are energy drains, then you're going to wrestle and feel like or going to feel like those kids. So I really try to surround myself with people of like mind. That goes from my assistant coaches to my athletes.
And you can see it in the results you have in your program. Tom Borelli had mentioned this a couple of weeks ago or even a month ago, that the hardest thing he has is not looking for the champion, is looking for the guy that will be a champion, because a lot of them aren't willing now to take that first couple years to refine their skills and take losses, that every kid wants to have instant gratification, and those are the ones that you're looking for, is the ones that are great, but the ones that will be great and that you can tell, and have them accept the fact that this is a tough sport. This isn't a basketball program where the glory of the slam dunk. This one's won in the trenches by yourself.
Yeah, and finding kids who are champions, who are motivated. Those two are not mutually exclusive. Lee used to always tell me, you need to get those thirds and those fourths. Boy, those kids they haven't reached their potential. I mean, I'd rather have a 3-time state champion who hasn't reached his potential. And generally speaking, those champions are doing things that are making them champions. And so the kids who aren't winning are probably doing things that are contributing to their lack of success. So, we when I first came to Cornell, we had one kid on the team who had ever won a state championship out of 40 wrestlers, which obviously, and I found that, you can spend 1,000 hours working with one kid or an extra hour recruiting and get the same results. And obviously you want to get a kid who wants to live in that wrestling room at the same time. So it's not all about recruiting. You need to recruit the right types of kids, but you obviously have to get really good kids. And being able to have this wrestling facility that we have here at Cornell University has allowed me to become a better coach because I brought in better kids. And I'm not going to try to pretend to be the best wrestling coach in the country, but I do bring in awfully good kids. And Cornell, by its nature, doesn't allow me to bring in those types of kids who are generally not good kids. So that's another thing that keeps me young and fresh. Is I'm surrounding myself with kids who are staying out of trouble, who have goals of being